Okay, so welcome everyone, and this is the class for Yii 2 or Yii Framework um, training for information system development. Much more or less, Yii is a framework, PHP framework, no, so that we can easily manage our database and create a front end, no, or a system in which nga maka-interact aton nga no, maka-interact aton nga users, no. So of course, the things that will be introduced in this class will be XAMPP for our MySQL database, and of course Yii, the PHP framework itself. So to start, we need a MySQL server in which that amo na siya dabi ang storan sang aton nga content, no, in database format. So we're going to install the XAMPP first, then later going to install the archive version, and set up those two, no, para at least maka communicate aton nga Yii sa aton nga MySQL database. Okay, so to start, you need to install XAMPP. Naman na siyang Spanish sa atin, XAMPP. And of course, you can download this via Google Chrome or Firefox or Edge. So I'm using right now is Google Chrome. So from here, let's go to the website of XAMPP, which is under ApacheFriends.org. Then we're going to install the latest version, no? We have the 8.1.1. Download tayo na yun, no? And of course, while doing that, we're going to download the Yii as well, no? So Yii naman, we're going to go to the Chrome as well and search for Yii 2, no? Yii 2. And let's go to its website, which is yiframework.com. And from here, ma-download man kita sang sang iyang archive version. So actually, you can install Yii using via command prompt, no? Command prompt or the archive version. Mas dasig tabi ang archive version because it's an offline version of the system. Okay, so you don't need to do some code later on to start, no, to install. But then the command prompt has its own advantages as well. So I click on the guide. After that, we're going to download the offline. We'll go to installing Yii. Okay, installing Yii. From here, let's look at installing from an archive file. So let's go to yiiframework.com. From here, there are two types of archive. We have the Yii 2 with basic application template and Yii 2 with advanced application template. So we're going to go with the Yii 2 with basic application template. Okay, so it's kind of the downloading. So after that, we already downloaded the XAMPP and Yii basic application. So we're going to go to XAMPP, install the XAMPP first. No? So let's locate the folder where it was downloaded. No, actually, you can click it directly. Okay, so from here, going to click on XAMPP Windows x64 blah blah blah. So from here, let's wait until it's already started to install. Okay, so from the user account control, let's click yes. Okay, then click OK. Then they're going to click next and next. This is kind of review, no, from for most of you, because we had already done this last time during the um, electronic election, if you can recall. Let's uncheck this one, then click next, then click next. Okay, so while waiting for it to install, we're just going to fast forward that until it has completed its installation. Yii actually is a program that I use in some of our systems. Actually, it's the front end for UBRA, the operational banking reports and accomplishment, and of course, it is a back end for the IT Kambada system. So, what will be doing would be later on how to build a project is similarly in how we created the Ubra, a simple version of this with the login. And of course how to create your CRUD or create, read, update and delete functions. Actually, this one would be the main page for your CRUD, and of course these are the functions that you will be seeing later, how to do the forms in creating your content, how to edit, uh, or update, read or view the content, and of course delete with a confirmation prompt. Those are basic features in Yii that you can easily generate. So it will depend on your database. So that's why we're starting at XAMPP, because you need to define your database first, your tables, then after that what you will do, it will create a front end for your database or back end. It depends on your purpose. Um, As you can see, the I the IT clan battle has a different front end, as you can see here, right? And its back end is this one, as you can see. So actually, this is built with the back end of the IT clan battle. So let's check if it's already completed. It's still installing. So let's wait for that, for it to complete before we set up your MySQL database. So it's almost done, the installation. So okay, so from here we're going to allow the Apache HTTP server behind the firewall so that it won't be blocked by your Windows firewall. Usually in the exam, you need to run the Apache server and the MySQL server. That's the two. Okay, so it's now done. So it will ask if you want to run the or start the control panel now. So just click finish. Okay, so from here on the control panel, you can now click start the Apache server and the MySQL server. Okay, so from the MySQL server, just like the Apache server, you need to allow access so that it would be allowed in your firewall. Okay, so now that it's done, let's check if that is successfully running. So let's go to your browser and let's say go to localhost, and when you see this dashboard, we know that it's running. So now let's set up your database. Okay, so let's go to your PHP admin. So this is the basic front end of the database. This is um, a bit similar to Yii, but then it's not as user friendly, uh, especially for layman users. Okay, so what we're going to do is set up your database first. Example, let's create a basic system for the Yii, right? Yii2DB example. This is the name of your database. Then just let everything by default and click create. Okay, so from here, you need to create a table. So usually in that database, uh, you can create one database and with unlimited tables. Okay, it depends on how many tables you need to enter data, and sometimes we have those tables that is a in collaboration with other tables. Okay, that means two tables can be connected with a unique uh, code or index, right? So that that those tables can be connected. So from here, since it's just a basic training, so we created the database. I'm going to create one simple table, like say users, and of course it has 4 columns for a start, right? So let's click go. So from here, I'm going to create a table for us, and you need to name your column header. Picture out an Excel, right? An Excel example, an Excel. I don't know if we have an Excel here. Okay. So Excel is actually it's a can be interpreted as a table because it has its columns and rows, right? So let's wait for it to load. Okay. So from here, as you can see, you can just place it here. The row 1 actually this can be uh, set as your column name, right? Let's say you have your ID, you have your first name, last name, let's say email, if ever if you wanted that information. But of course, those are sensitive information, so you need to have a privacy policy for that one. So that goes with age, telephone number, and etc. Let's say it's rename that as username, then we're going to use this as password. Okay. So from here, you have this 5 columns, right? So because it's kind of have a 5 column, you need to add another column at the bottom, right? So from here, you click, you set this one as 1, then click go. Okay, and we're going to follow the one we set on the Excel ID, and of course, uh, usually when you set the names, um, you don't need to have spaces on that, right? And you can abbreviate. It's because the more that it's easier for you to understand the table names or column names, it would be easy for you to map out later on. So I'm going to do this as F name, then L name for the last name, then we're going to use uh, username and password, right? Okay. The shorter the better, because the longer it would be hard for you to um, start mapping those names out, right? But for Yii, you can use uh, different kind of naming convention because it's currently using the underscore. right? So we're going to rename this first name. Okay, this one, it can be full password name. Okay, you have that, no? First name, last name, username, and password. Okay, so now we're going to set these as the types of these column names. So for ID, usually we set it to integer. That means that's a whole number, right? And the value, since the maximum length value of an integer is 255, so we set it to 255. And usually the ID, no, we set it as to auto increment. No, this would allow that when we enter new data for this table, it will generate the ID for the new entries, incremental, like 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now for the first name, you can set it to varchar or variable character. Okay, so variable character, okay. Okay, so it's a data type which can contain any type of data, numeric character, spaces, or punctuation. Okay, so depending on the database, the data type is capable of storing values up to its maximum size. So usually, um, the length of the character, oh, or say, it depends on your approximation of how long would the possible number of characters a column would be, right? And for first name, let's say we can set it as much as 100 characters, or to be safe, we can set it to 1000. Okay. Then of course, let's do this to last name as well. And for the username, and of course, um, for the username, let's say 1000 again. For the password, let's say 100. Okay, it's very hard to recall 1000 length of characters for a password, right? You can set it as well for the username 100. Okay, so now for the last name, we can set this one to varchar. Username, variable characters, and for the password, of course, we can set it to variable character. Okay, so that you can easily you can enter any characters for your password. So now, so now this table is now ready for saving. As you can recall, only the ID was set to integer with 255 values, or let's say 254, just to be safe, or 255. And it was the only column that was set to auto increment. Okay, so now let's save our table. Okay, so it's now saved, right? We have the users. And of course, here on the PHP you have these tabs when you click on a table, right? You have the browse, structure, SQL search, insert, export, import, and etc. So for now, we're going to focus on two things: browse and structure. Browse would allow you to see the content of the table. You can do quick edits here as well. And of course, structure will display the structure of your table. This from this tab, you can actually change the characteristic of your column names if you need to change your uh, the character of your column name, or you can actually delete it from this tab. Okay, so I think we're done here, and what we're going to do next is to install our Yii